Good morning, folks, from the largest lunatic asylum in the universe. It's called Ireland. There's always a funny story on the Irish Times these days. This morning is no different. We read about internecine strife between ministers. Simon Harris is at loggerheads with Ruddy, the Mariposa, Ruddy O'Gorman, in charge of the invasion refugees. It seems that Simon must be feeling the heat from every big farmer in Ireland and even the IFA, because the sons and daughters of all these farmers will have nowhere to stay this winter when they head back to universities all over the country, as the previous providers of student accommodation are pouring into the lucrative contract business for accommodating refugees. So we have had old people's homes being converted now for refugees, and old people kicked out of the old folks' homes because they make a lot more money with the refugees. And next up is the students to be kicked out of their accommodation, and a lot more money to be made by the business people who own private student accommodation. Harris must be feeling a little heat on his neck today from the IFA, which the farmers are a fairly solid lobby group, and if that vote goes against the government, God knows who's going to get elected when the election comes around. So, uh, also to mention that the government have been clamping down on Airbnb providers, old ladies and young ladies and housewives who make a handy few quid accommodating American and foreign tourists for a few nights in their houses all over Dublin, the whole country, the east, north, west, and south. So the government is trying to close down all that business that's being operated, little one man, one lady businesses, and they want the ordinary little Joe Soap to instead accommodate the farmers' sons and daughters for the semestrals, for the period when they're at college, if they live anywhere near a rent pressure or a university pressure zone. One law for the big business people, one big lucrative contract for the big business people, and no lucrative income for the small Airbnb people renting out a room in their home. They are being pressured into accommodating these students. They have been given a big carrot of €14,000 a year tax free of their income if they accommodate a farmer's son or daughter in lodgings somewhere near a university. So, this is the best enticement going so far, but it's only a fraction of what they could earn if they had a busy B&B business in a nice house in a nice part of the city or country, where there's huge demand now due to the hotels gouging American tourists because they themselves are full of lucrative contracted so-called refugees, sham UGs, or whatever, Algerians, dangerous people, all kinds of characters from everywhere, pouring into the country on coaches from courtesy of Cardiff coaches, and that colourful Mariposa Roderick O'Gorman shows no sign of abating the invasion or surrendering his activities until every warehouse and every student accommodation and every every Airbnb in the country is occupied by the invasion force of people, paperless so-called refugees. So that's the crack for this morning, folks, and it's very entertaining, but it's not pleasant. The small people suffer. They're cramming down on them. the Airbnb people, and they're giving big contracts to the other providers of old folks accommodation and the providers of student accommodation. So the fun goes on, and maybe the IFA will come in here and crack a whip and put a broadside across Roger O'Gorman as well as Simon Harris. Talk to you soon, guys, from the Lunatic Asylum and the best Facebook on the planet, which is the deadliest ever coalition government and soldiersofdestiny.org. Bye, folks.